Hey guys, so it's the end of July and it's almost August, which is crazy for me to think about because mentally I'm still in March. But as we've started to move into the second half of 2020, I've been thinking a lot and just reflecting a lot about what's been going on and everything that's happened within these last 7 months now. So I came up with a list of 20 things that I've learned from 2020 so far, and I just thought that I would share it with you guys. They're all very general and they can apply to anyone, but they're things that I learned throughout all the situations that this year has given me. So I hope you find these valuable, and let's get started. So number one is to never take anything for granted. So a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in our lives and we forget to appreciate the small things in between, and we kind of just take it to be there. We don't really think much of it. And I think 2020 has really shown me just how important it is to value every single small thing that is in our lives, because you never really know the value of something until it's gone. And so, for example, even small things like being able to go outside to larger things like our health, I just think that a lot of times we can get so caught up in the small stresses or big stresses of our everyday lives that we forget to just take a step back and appreciate all the good things that we do have. I think I always kind of knew that to be true, but this pandemic has really just shown me just how easily and quickly things can just be taken from us. So always be grateful for what you have. Number two is to love more and let go of anger. You never know when your time with someone might be cut short, as morbid as that sounds, and you really don't know how much time you have. And I know that sounds terrible to say, but it's something that I think 2020 has kind of shown a lot of people in the world. If anything, this pandemic has proved to us that none of us really know how much time we have. And with the little time that we do have, it's important to just cherish and make the most out of it. Show more love to people who you care about and let go of anger, because even if your anger is totally justified, it only hurts you to hold on to that anger. So if you let go of it, do it for your sake. Do it for the sake of your own well-being, not to just forgive someone else who's wronged you, but do it because you'll feel so much better and you'll feel like there's a burden lifted off your shoulders when you finally just decide that you're done with it, you're ready to move on, and you can let it go. Really make the most out of the time that you have. Spend your energy and time on positive things in life instead of holding on to things that only bring you down. Number three is Generation Z is a force to be reckoned with, and we just might be the generation to finally create real change to some of the issues that have plagued our society forever. I think definitely this is something that a lot of us have seen over the past few months. Generation Z has finally started to really stand up for what we believe in and fight for what's right. We've already seen this through all that's been going on. I'm definitely really proud to be part of Generation Z. Number four is, regardless of how detailed your plans for the future might be, life can throw a curveball at you at any time. Learn to adapt. Life is truly unpredictable, and you can have the most amazing plan for the future. You can have all these years planned out in advance. You can be so ready to do all these things that you think will lead you to the future you want, and that's great and everything, but sometimes shit happens. And there's nothing we can do about that except just to adapt and adjust to it and try to move on from there. So don't stay too attached to the plans that you made a long time ago or even just a few months ago, because situations can always change. Life can always change, and it's okay to change your mind based on these situational changes. Don't feel like you have to stick to what you thought you would do maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. Life is not set in stone. Life does not remain frozen in time. The only thing you can do is just to adjust to whatever life gives you. Number five is, you're not going to get TikTok famous, so stop trying. This is kind of probably more specific to myself. I'm not saying like TikTok fame is definitely like out of the question. I've seen lots of people have done it, but I guess maybe like the algorithm just hated me, or I wasn't funny or pretty enough. But anyway, obviously YouTube is the superior platform. Totally not biased. Number six, make mental health a priority. This year I've definitely gone through a lot of ups and downs. I've achieved some of my biggest things throughout this year, and I've also hit some of my lowest lows this year. It's okay to take a mental health day when you need it. Don't feel hesitant. For me this year, I know towards the beginning of the year I pushed myself really hard, and it got to the point where I was just overwhelmed. I didn't have enough time to take care of myself, to sleep even. It ultimately started to backfire when I felt like I was just overwhelmed with all these things that I was in, and I started feeling burned out, and I felt like I didn't have the motivation or energy to do anything. And I was also getting really just stressed out and feeling anxious about a lot of things for no reason, overthinking all of that stuff. And so I definitely think that it was because I overworked myself too much. It's really important to take care of yourself before you try to dedicate yourself to a lot of things, because if you're not in the right place mentally, you're not going to be able to be efficient or productive in all these things that you want to do. Taking care of yourself is never a waste of time. Number 7 is Zoom meetings are only as awkward as you make them to be. Whether it's a huge group or like a small breakout room with just a couple people, honestly, it's not as awkward as you think if you just don't see it as awkward. Like, just take initiative to start conversation if you're in a breakout room and no one's talking, or if you're in a large call and like no one's really taking initiative to speak up, you can be the one to speak up. Like, it's only as awkward as you make it to be. Just don't stress out too much about it. Number 8, so contrary to what I thought, 2020 wasn't exactly the greatest year to graduate in. Before all of this happened, I was super excited about graduating in 2020 because I was like, this is such a great number, because I don't know, it's so neat. It's like 2020. And also I kind of thought it was cool how I was born in 2002 and I got to graduate in 2020, so it's like 02 and now it's like 20. So I don't know, I just thought it was really cool, and like we were the first class to graduate in this decade. Obviously none of us saw this coming, and now we're just kind of a meme at this point because everyone feels bad for class of 2020. But I think despite everything, it still worked out. I definitely did not get the senior experience that I was hoping for and that I had been looking forward to for pretty much all of high school, but we still had a great graduation. It was just drive-through. I think we made the most out of what we were given, so despite all of that, we still came together. I think that it just goes to show how well we adapted to such a big change in our lives. So I'm really proud of that, and to all of you class of 2020 out there, congratulations. I'm really proud of all of you guys. So number 9 is your view of the world will change drastically after you graduate high school. The way I saw things and my mindset and everything changed entirely after I graduated high school. It's only been about a month and a half since I graduated, but I already feel like I'm kind of a different person than I was in high school. I think the biggest thing is a lot of things that you thought were important in high school turn out to be super trivial looking back. Once you graduate, you start to see the world in a bigger sense. At least I did. So I started to really just look at the world and see all these bigger things that were going on. And also I think once I graduated, I started to really think about my future and like, what exactly do I want for my future? What exactly do I see in my future? And when I was in high school, it was more nearsighted, where everything I was dealing with, it was all with this end goal of I'll graduate and then I'll go to college and then I don't really know about the rest. Like, obviously I had general plans about what I wanted after college and for my career, but now that I'm actually out of high school, it's like all these things are just suddenly open to you. Like, I'm an adult now and all these things are just up for me to decide. And so it feels very different from when I was in high school and I was like worried about the next test or worried about college apps or worried about, friend drama. You just see the world in a bigger context than the bubble of high school. So number 10 is stress brings out the worst in people, but try to understand other people's perspectives. This year definitely has put a lot of stress on everyone. It's different for everyone, especially because everyone's in such a different life situation, but we were all given this really drastic change in our lives, which was the pandemic and quarantine. It has caused a lot of people to be on edge, and sometimes that manifests itself in the way that they might talk to you or the way that they might respond to you or treat you or act. And I'm not saying to let people walk all over you, but one thing I have learned this year is that sometimes you just really have to just calm yourself down and try to understand where other people are coming from. Number 11 is a pandemic is not a productivity contest. When quarantine just started, people were saying how it was just this great time because we have all this free time and we're stuck at home. So it was this great time to just focus on the things that we always wanted to achieve. And there were people saying that if you don't come out of quarantine having perfected a skill or having learned a new skill or having improved on something or yourself, that you're just lazy. And I think that's a very toxic mindset, because it's a pandemic. It's not a contest to see who can achieve the most. So I get the reasoning behind like how people say you have a lot of free time, go and make something out of it. But you have to realize that it is a pandemic. We are stressed. We are watching so many people fall ill to this virus and die, and it's a lot to take in. It's not like we're in this perfect situation where we can just dedicate ourselves to something we want to achieve. That's not the case. Don't think that you have to achieve something by the end of quarantine or by the end of this year. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. We're all dealing with a very strange period of our lives and in history. So number 12 is life is very fragile. So it's a very difficult thing to come to terms with. Obviously, like, I always knew about this. It's not like it's something new, but I think just the way that events this year have unfolded have really shown me just how fragile it really is. And it goes back to the point of not taking stuff for granted, because this year has really just made me think about our mortality. I don't think that you should look at this realization and be really sad about it, but instead I think that knowing this realization should push you more to feel like you should be making the most out of every single moment in your life. So I don't think that it's a bad thing to realize this. I think that it can actually be kind of inspirational, oddly, as long as you just look at it in the right perspective. So number 13, having uncomfortable conversations about serious topics is necessary. You may have different opinions from other people on certain topics, but I think that it's a personal choice, and I'm not going to push anyone to make any certain choice about it, but I think that it is valuable to have conversations with people who disagree with you, and I think it's very important to call out people who have backwards beliefs or just very problematic beliefs and see if you can educate people. Who knows, you might even change someone's mind. I think it's really important to just be there and step up for what's right, even if it makes you uncomfortable. So number 14 is it's okay to cut down on news and social media consumption if it's hurting your mental health. I definitely went through this. So with everything that was going on, I felt like going on social media at a certain point started to get toxic, and it just stressed me out a lot to see all the things that were happening. I do think that it is important to take a step back from social media and watching the news, especially if it's directly affecting your mindset, because it's good to want to stay informed, and it's good to want to be an advocate, and it's good to want to keep informing others and staying educated, but you also have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to handle taking care of other people as well. Making your mental health a priority is definitely important, and once you can get that down, then you definitely 100% should go and educate other people and stay informed and all of that. But a lot of times you can't really function at your best if you're not feeling at your best mentally. So number 15 is fake it till you make it. This is something that's been very relevant in my life lately, because recently I've been getting involved in a lot of things that, in the past I probably wouldn't have considered doing, just because either fear or feeling like, oh, that's not for me. But I think I've started to become more of a risk taker, and I just kind of put myself out there and see what happens. And it's definitely scary. I struggle with imposter syndrome a lot, but it's had an incredible payoff as well. It just comes down to trusting yourself, to have a growth mindset, understanding that you will be able to figure it out given time and dedication. I've just gone into things and I've been figuring it out along the way, and it's been a great learning experience. It's okay to go into things not feeling like you're an expert. No one starts off as an expert, but as long as you really just have that trust in yourself that you will get better, or that you will be able to improve, and you just go for it and put your all into it, you will make it. Number 16 is stop romanticizing the past and the future, and instead romanticize where you are right now in your life. I've seen these things on the internet about like living your life as the main character and everything, and I think I definitely resonate with that, because I tend to just romanticize the past a lot, feeling nostalgic and everything, and at the same time I also think about the future a lot, and I think about how great life will be once I achieve X, or once I achieve Y, or once I'm in this stage of my life. But the only thing that's going to do to you is just you're never going to be happy, because once you do achieve X or Y, then you're going to be looking at the next goal and you're going to be like, I'll be happy once I achieve Z. But if you look at things like that, you're never going to be happy. So it's not about where you are that's important, it's about how you see things. And so if you find joy and happiness in where you are right now in life, then you're always going to be happy. So I don't think that it's good to romanticize anything other than the present too much. Focus on the present, focus on right now, where you are, and make the most out of it, and your perspective on everything will change. I used to think that once I got into my dream college, I would be so happy. And then I got in and I started just looking at the next goal. And I think if you look at things like that, you're not going to be able to find the happiness. But if you look at things instead, just finding happiness in every single small detail of your life right now, you're going to be so much happier overall. Number 17 is to welcome change with open arms. It's really the only thing you can do. Refusing to let go of the past is going to get you nowhere. Embrace change when it happens, learn to accept it and work with it. And so for me, I think a big change in my life was just the fact that I graduated high school. And, I don't think it's good to hang on to the past too much. So I'm starting a new chapter in my life, and that's okay. And that's something beautiful, and that's something that should be embraced. So you shouldn't feel sad about, letting go of the high school chapter of your life. If you're open to change and if you're receptive to it, you won't feel like you're so apprehensive all the time. Number 18, once life returns to normal, make sure to take in every moment of it as much as you can, and more than you did before quarantine. Personally, for me, I used to just, You know, I like to stay in a lot and I didn't like to just go out all the time, but now that it's been quarantined for so long, I feel like I can't wait for once life returns to normal and I can just go out and really enjoy everything. Just really making the most out of every day once we're able to go back to normal life is something that I really want to do and live by. Number 19 is recognizing that you're privileged or blessed does not mean that your struggles are invalid. It just means that you're recognizing that while you do have struggles, you also have certain blessings or privileges. So for example, like being safe, just being able to be safe every day is a huge blessing. But at the same time, it's okay to feel a little bit disappointed. For me personally, I was a little bit disappointed, obviously, about missing out on things like prom and, you know, senior trip and stuff like that. So it's okay to have struggles, it's okay to have feelings, and it doesn't make it invalid as long as you recognize that you are still privileged just to be in the situation that you're in. And finally, number 20. Go out of your way to show kindness and empathy to other people. We're all fighting different battles and we could all use some support from others. It could be something really small or something big, but I think that going out of your way to be kind to other people is something so important. Personally, for me, something small could be, you know, I really enjoy hyping up random mutuals on Instagram, or if they achieve something, I like just celebrating for them, even if I barely talk to them or even if I barely know them. I think that it's really important to just show kindness to people whenever possible, especially in this time. And if I can make someone else's life just a little bit better or just make their day slightly better, then that's something I should do. And I would encourage all of you guys to do the same. So those are 20 things that I've learned from 2020 so far. Obviously, we're still only around halfway through this year, a little bit over halfway. So I'm sure that I will continue to learn stuff as the year keeps progressing. So I might make one of these videos again at the end of 2020. I don't know. I hope that this was valuable to any of you guys out there. And 2020 is definitely not the year that any of us expected, but I think that it's also taught us some really important lessons. And I'd love to hear in the comments what you've learned this year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.